Greetings and salutations and welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to be focusing on step 1 of the plan. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made an entire video about it, but just to summarize, I'm going to be making a very large magic 8-ball machine in the shape of a cyborg inside of a test tube, basically. So yeah, the first thing we need to do is actually make the tank itself, so that's step 1. So yeah. Oh, you mean this giant aluminium tank from about 2 meters high? Like that one? Yes, exactly like that. What? How'd you make that? Let me show you. So I started this entire project by making a few aluminium rings. These will be the base for the entire tank that we're currently building. I made one from 40 centimeters, from 60 and from 90 centimeters. Oh, and also there will be some flashing lights due to all of the welding that I'm going to do. So this is a trigger warning also for people who are sensitive to that sort of stuff. So be warned. So yeah, making the aluminium rings wasn't all that difficult. However, I had to pay close attention on the 40 centimeter ones because the inner diameter had to be 40 due to the acrylic tube that I have, which will eventually become the tank for the sci-fi robot lady. This project is already crazy, and it's going to be a lot more crazier when we continue with this process. It's fantastic. So here you can see the acrylic tube that I have and one of the 40 centimeter rings. So I'm just fitting it right here to see if it actually fits, and it fits like a glove, which is very, very good. Because the tighter this is, the nicer it's going to look in the end result. And here I've got the 3 40 rings, then a 60 ring and a 90 ring. So a 40, a 60 and the 90 ring is going to be the base for the entire thing. Like this. However, the wheels are going to be turned around, so it's going to be a hidden wheel sort of thing. And this side's going to go diagonally because it's going to look cool. And in the middle, I'm going to make a platform so I can put weight there so it doesn't tip over. And like that. Okay, so now we've got this beautiful rolling thing, as you can see right here, and this is going to be the second ring. So as you can see, there's also a middle ring. It was meant for easy attachment to this part. However, if I put 2 and 2 together, like so, you might see the problem already. It's because the wheels now cannot turn properly, because the middle ring is too large and the above ring has not enough clearance, if that makes any sense. So it was a good idea at first, however now I have to change the middle ring, as you can see. However, I do have a solution for that, because I already made this thing, the triangle. So yeah, if I put all that together, it's going to be a lot easier to actually turn the wheels and assemble everything and make everything pretty. Okay, so let's take a quick break from all of the aluminium and focus on the acrylic instead. So this is an acrylic tube that I have. So let me first remove this and then we can take a better look at it. Okay, so this tube is going to be the tank where the cyborg is gonna live in, the cyborg lady. So I asked a buddy of mine, or a colleague of mine, to use the CNC machine for a lid. So now this fits. It's kind of difficult with one hand, but it fits perfectly on top, as you can see. So now I also have the necessary glue, so let's glue it all together and hope that it seals, because I do not know. So I'm also going to use the capillary activator. So this basically means that there are going to be less bubbles in the glue, so less chance of it actually leaking. So let's hope that it works. Okay, so I definitely breathed in some gases that I shouldn't have. And also, the glue was a lot more runny than I expected. I expected it to be more of a glob instead of just basically water, but it's glued, so who knows? So I guess we have to find out in 50 minutes. Nah, that's pretty good. So yeah, now with that curing, it's time for us to continue the aluminium frame tower thing. So let's do that then. And now with that all finished, let's move on to the middle section. As you can see here, I already have a ring with some poles standing up. And this thing is going to be the support system for the acrylic tank that's going to be on top of it, because this thing is turned around. So let me just turn it right side up and place it on the thing right here. And yeah, that's basically the middle portion. So let's weld everything together and it looks like, whoa, look at that. So now the next step is going to be all of the diagonal pieces which will hold up the sheet metal. So that's going to look like this. And with this, as you can see, it's going to be a lot easier to have all of the curved pieces be in the correct shape, basically. And as you can see on the back, there's a portion missing. And that is because here there's going to be a door that's going to open for me to access all of the electronics and the inside and all of those bits. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break from all of the aluminium and focus on our acrylic tube again. So I've glued the underside, hopefully watertight. So now we're going to test it if it's actually watertight. And I'm kind of nervous because this is the first time I'm using this material. So I don't know how it works. I don't know how it functions, so fingers crossed, and let's hope it does it. I think we actually have a winner. What the heck? So I think it's actually watertight, which is gonna be so cool. Oh, so my idea is actually gonna work, which is super cool, because if this was not watertight, I was kind of debating on not doing the entire fluid thing, because the only effect that's gonna have is on the hair of the Cyborg and on the bubbles that come up, the air bubbles that come up through the oil. But it's gonna work. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for, today, just to see if it's actually watertight, because maybe some water is forming through the cracks or something like that. Just to be sure, I'm gonna leave this as is. And let's continue on the aluminium frame, because that's also coming along pretty well. So it's coming along, it's nice, yeah. Okay, so it's the next day, and look, the water is still at the same level, which means this thing is fully watertight. Which means that the idea is actually gonna work, which is super cool. Oh, this is so fun. And back to the aluminium. So now I'm gonna be cutting a circle from this aluminium sheet. The way I'm gonna do this is I punched a center hole right there, and it's gonna be held in place by this little clamp right here. And this way I'm gonna turn the aluminium sheet so the scissors can cut, and as you can see, they keep on cutting if I place everything correctly. Like this. Okay, so this is the aluminium underpiece, I guess, that I made, which looking pretty good. And the door is going to be over here on the back side. However, I've made a teeny tiny error in my design of this thing. So stupid. Because the problem that I currently have is that this bottom ring is 90 centimeters long, and the door from my workshop is 80 centimeters. So 10 centimeters needs to be removed from this ring. However, it's a beautiful ring, as in, where am I gonna cut off a piece? Which it's such a stupid problem. And the answer is right here in the front. This is gonna be straight, because this is gonna be the front panel, and a big red button is gonna sit right here. So I think that's gonna work, I don't know, but we have to, because it's not gonna go into my workshop otherwise. Also, I've bought this bottom part of a lamp in a thrift store. However, this is very thin aluminium, and welding this is basically impossible. So after looking around, I found a better one, which also fits the shape of one of the rings way better. So I made this. Oh, so this is going to be the lid, and then the orb or the bowl, that thing, is going to be the top of it, so people can't actually put their beers or beverages on top of the machine, which sometimes I think. Okay, so now with the stuff cut off at the top too, I can now weld in these pieces, the straight ones. They go like that, and see where it goes from there. So let's get welding, yay! Okay, so with the first piece, or with this piece flattened out, as you can see, it's now time to put on some of the aluminium sheets. Yes, we're gonna start with the front, because I flattened this out, there's gonna be a bit of an issue with this one over here, but we'll see about that later. Okay, so I've measured everything on this little sheet, and now I'm gonna cut it to size, and I think that this should fit, but, fingers crossed. So the first piece of aluminium is in, as you can see, and I only riveted it on the bottom side. The top side I only have these two, because I'm gonna wait with attaching it fully, because there's also gonna be a button up here. That's why it also doesn't reach to the top. So this is just the first plate, and I also didn't secure the sides over here because the other aluminium plate is gonna be rounded, I guess, in a curve. And it's gonna be overlapping with this edge over here and then riveted in place. But, sick, right? Oh, I can, let's continue. Ooh. Okay, so I've got another sheet of aluminium. This one is a bit thicker, and as you can see, there's a curve because this is going to be the placement for the button. However, this needs to be removed. So let me grab a cool tool. And here it is. So I don't actually know what it's called in English, but in Dutch it's called a knabbeltang. It's this cool thing. Yeah. Let me show you how it works. So I got a bit of excess aluminium here and the knabbeltang. So now you can see it just cuts away the aluminium, and yes, it does bend a bit, but this is just because it's incredibly thin aluminium. But yeah, pretty cool, right? So let's cut that. And whoa, just like that. Whoa, sick. Cool, right? Okay, so I bent the piece into shape, as you can see. So let's attach it. And just like that, we have two, yes, two, the other side as well, fully closed off triangle thingies. Yay! So here's the button gonna be that activates the entire system. So with this now done, let's focus on the door. Yeah! So in order to make a door, you have to take your extra ring that you have and cut it up into 3 pieces. Like this. And now, in this step, you realize that one of the pieces should have been longer, so let's weld another piece to it. And now, with the most beautiful seam ever, the piece is long enough to actually assemble the entire thing. So this piece is going there, and those two are going to be the door. So once that's in place, all you have to do is make a little door like this and drill some holes for the axle for the door itself. And with all of them combined, it looks like... And it's this. Whoa, look at this. It's a functioning door. Whoa, sick. Now, as you might have seen, if I close this thing, there is a pretty substantial gap right here. And that's because of the locking mechanism, because I don't actually know what is going to lock this little fun door. So that's purely the space so I can work with something that I haven't figured out yet. Yes. Right? Ain't it cool? So with this now done, I think next step is going to be more plating. Sorry, I was shaking off my glove. And yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So yeah, oh, it's going to look so cool. Oh, fantastic. So let's get to it. Okay, so the few things that still need to happen with this thing is basically the top part, the lid. Now, I'm gonna do something really easy. I've drilled a hole in the middle of this one and in the middle of this bowl, and I'm just gonna secure it with this. So let's quickly pull that all together and we can get to the final step. Ooh! And just like that, we have a detachable top. Nice. So yeah, this is then going over here. Yeah, that's sick, right? Okay, so the last part that I need to do is I make a few standards right here, or rods basically. So wires from down there can go up through those rods up there in the tank, because I'm not going to drill any holes in this tank because this tank is watertight and I don't want to risk it, because that's just asking for problems. So with that, I just need a few of these dowels, I guess, and figure out how to attach it, but I'm gonna talk to you about that once it's attached. Okay, so what I did was make a little table. So this little table, as you can see, is freestanding, and it rests on top of this. And I've also drilled a few holes in it. As you can see, there are 3 holes. There you go. There are 3 holes, but the middle one is a lot larger, because that's the hole where the wires are going to go through in order for the computer downstairs to go all the way up, over, and in the entire tank with all of the weird stuff in it. That was a very bad explanation, and I will try to do better next time. But now, with all of the pieces in place and the tank over there, it looks like... boom! There it is! The gumball machine. But I also did some stuff on the back. As you can see here, I have a handle, 2 locking mechanisms, and this little plate over here was still missing. Also, those little side pieces over there, but that was kind of boring, so yeah. Okay, so let's take this thing to the workshop and we can talk about phase 2 of this beautiful project. Yeah. I really need a bigger car because that is hanging out of the back, so... Okay, so with a very scary car ride behind us, it's now here! Look at it, ain't it sick? Oh. Alright, so with the closet now mostly done, there are still a few things I need to tweak. We can go to phase 2 of this fantastic plan, which is that lovely lady over there. Because if you haven't watched the video, the plan is basically a giant 8-ball machine in the shape of a ripped apart cyborg lady. Yes! So yeah, I meant to explain it more, but you know, I have a whole video on that, so just watch that. And with this lovely closet now done, it's the end of the episode, or the video, I guess, I don't know. So hopefully I see you back in video or episode 2, where we can actually make the weird cyborg lady that's gonna be inside of this tube. But it's gonna be so cool. Oh, I can't wait to work on it. So hopefully I see you in the next one, and if not, then bye.